Healthcare Association, IVRHA. Um, Among his vast accomplishments, Bob started the largest annual conference focused on VR and healthcare, with events taking place both in Europe and US. And so without further ado, here to tell us the latest on the IVRHA, it is my honor to introduce Bob Fine. Take it away.
Well, hi, everyone. Thanks very much for allowing me to present today. And I want to thank Ori quite a bit for inviting me to moderate the healthcare sessions today. I participated at AWE in the past. I've been both to the Santa Clara event and the one in Munich, but have never presented. And so it's an honor for me and great to be here. Gotta apologize that I'm in my very small one-bedroom apartment here in Washington D.C., and I actually don't even have a dedicated desk, so I'm doing this right from the bed, and hope nothing too distracting in the background. I don't think. So with that, I'm gonna get started, and just to give you a little bit of background on myself, I spent first half of my career as a systems and sales engineer. My background is 25 years of engineering and IT, and worked for both large and small companies early on from 94, since I graduated college, through 2000. And in 2000, I got a dream job opportunity with a large conservation nonprofit called Conservation International. And I was hired as their global director of IT, and built out their global IT network in 40 countries. So have spent a lot of time on the road and overseas ever since getting out of school, and even more so, more than 50% of the time when I was with CI. So going back to the last downturn, as we're in our current downturn since the Great Recession in 2009, 8, 9, 10. I ended up actually starting a business out of that downturn called Cool Blue Media, a media company that in which I ended up putting together what was the first social media conference on the East Coast. And that was here in Washington back in June 2009, long time ago. But did really well, and ended up had a book come out in 2010 that got picked up as a textbook at about 10 universities. That's the social media big book there in the lower left, and then launched the only print magazine about social media, and still today the only print magazine about social media. But we had distribution in 20 countries, and we're in Barnes & Noble nationally throughout the U.S., chapters in Go in Canada, Fry's Electronics along the West Coast. And it was received actually some really good recognition and awards, and quite proud of that period. So fast forward to 2016, and I've always kept an eye on virtual reality. Longtime video gamer, so that's always been in the back of my mind. And shortly after the Oculus Kickstarter, people were talking about social VR as a early application. And so that's kind of where I started looking at it, coming from the social media digital marketing side of things in the first half time of this business. And I then just started doing, I started a content vertical called VR Voice during that period, and actually did a number of events free events in 2016. And just trying to educate people about VR, give people their first VR experiences. And then in 2017 and 18, did some more experimentation and focused on just exploring different verticals in VR and trying to see where the interest was. VR in higher education, VR and architecture, VR and defense, number of other online events not listed here. But we did the first VR in healthcare events just about 4 years ago now here in Washington at GW Hospital. And that was a good success. And we then did our second conference in March 2018 at Harvard Medical School. And that was a big win for me. We had 250 attendees and very well received. And so at this period, I started thinking that maybe the focus on VR and healthcare is the way to go. And so I had a year-long conversation with HP back in 2018. And in December of that year, they agreed to be a founding member of this new VR and Healthcare Association, which I'm going to show you on the next slide in a second. But just to kind of finish out here on the events, so we're completely focused on VR and healthcare today. We just had our 4th annual global symposium in Nashville at the beginning of March, and got in just under the wire with the COVID situation a week later, and it would have likely been canceled. And we had our 2nd annual conference in Europe in Dublin last December, and I'm hoping that we will be in a situation to be able to have that 3rd annual conference in Dublin this coming December. But with the way the situation is, we're going to wait until July, August to make that final decision. So as I had mentioned, we formally launched IVRHA, the International Virtual Reality and Healthcare Association, in March of 2019 with at our 3rd annual conference, which was at the University of Arizona in Tucson. And we launched with these 40 founding member organizations. This layout of members' logos is a little bit out of date. I haven't had a chance to update it, and it would be a lot more crowded today. So we're now at about 75 organizations, and we have a great mix of teaching hospitals and universities, VR and AR startup companies, primary care hospitals, and research institutions. And then 25% of the organizations are from outside the US, good contingent in Europe. And we have representation now in Argentina, the Middle East, and Australia. So it's been a very busy time the last 18, 24 months. But I'm really happy where we are right now. And when we build a good community that's building on top of everything. And we've had resurgence of interest in VR with the COVID situation. So a lot of these companies and organizations have been actually pretty busy the last couple of months. Obviously, though, trying to sell into healthcare during this period has been problematic. They have other focus, but there's been a renewed resurgence in interest in VR because of the remote collaboration and meeting opportunities. And a number of these organizations use those kind of platforms for themselves. Some of them even build those types of platforms. So I like to tell people that, the VR healthcare market, that this is a 20-year journey. I think that it's, I'm not saying that you're not going to make money or have your business developed for 20 years, but I think the reality is healthcare is a very difficult sector. And it's going to take 5, 6, 7 years for most organizations to find their footing and find their market space. So, some important things to remember is, you need to assume that 99% of the healthcare community doesn't know the first thing about virtual reality. I think that's still very much the case, even though we're a couple of years into this. Most people have never tried VR yet. Again, think of it as 1 out of every 100 people working in the healthcare sector maybe has some familiarity with VR, but the vast majority of their colleagues do not. But healthcare makes up 20% of our economy. It's a huge part of the economy. But that's also a very large amount of ground to cover. So it's got some pros and cons to it. It's lots of opportunity, but also very hard to kind of figure out where to focus and your customer base and where you should be putting your time, especially early on. And it's going to take the market, the organizations, and the customers a lot of time to become educated and to become proficient in this platform and in the different aspects within healthcare that it can impact. So is this going to take 5 years, 10 years, 15? I don't know. It's going to take a while though. But I think VR has definitely turned a corner. It turned a corner with the last holiday season. The Quest sold very, very well. It's been an out of stock item ever since the Thanksgiving holiday. It's been out of stock with COVID, and Facebook and Oculus have done a great job of setting the bar for what a good high quality headset can be at an affordable price. Unfortunately, they're not supportive and not have had time to focus on the enterprise sector. And so it's created some problems in getting adoption. People like the Quest. It is a very easy to use platform, but until it supports enterprise applications, we have a mismatch there in the industry. And due to the lack of availability of hardware in the last couple of months, we've not been able to fully take advantage of the current situation as it is. You have to try to make lemonade out of lemons, and the industry has definitely had a resurgence of interest, but there aren't enough lemons to go around, not enough headsets to go around. So what's our focus for the next few years? It's pretty basic and pretty simple. It's education, it's education, and it's education. Really, that this is where I think we need to spend the most time. The more we can educate the customer base, give them their first VR experiences, help them understand the potential impact it has, and we've got more data come out every day, more clinical trials going on every day. VR is being explored in every single aspect of healthcare. Some with good success, some with not so great success, but that's the way you go about it. It is science-based. It's coming up with the data and proving efficacy on many of these applications. And that's why it's a long haul. These things don't happen overnight. Clinical trials don't happen overnight. So it's going to be patience and perseverance that wins out in the long run. So with that, I just want to wrap up with a couple things. Because we're not quite sure how the rest of this year is going to play out based on doing in-person events or not. Again, I hope we'll get back to normal by September. But we're going to do a free online event for attendees in August, just focused on VR healthcare applications, products, and services. So there'll be a week-long event. We're just getting it organized now, but we have a short URL set up for that if you want to sign up early. And then again, COVID pending, if everything's going okay, we'll do our third annual conference in Europe in Dublin. We have the dates, we have the venue. Same for next year's event in Nashville, and I certainly hope that we'll be in a good situation and not in a recurrence at that point either. But we'll see how things go over the next. Really got to play it day by day, week by week right now. And lastly, I do want to mention virtualrealityday.org. This is an event going into its fourth year now. It's a philanthropic event, and it's focused on a day of public education about VR. It takes place the last Saturday before Black Friday here in the US. This year, that means it's on Saturday, November 21st, 2020. We've had great participation the last 3 years. 7 cities, from 7 cities in 2017 to 76 in 2018, and 45 in 2019. We actually did see a little drop off there. We had a lot of VR arcades that participated in 2018 that unfortunately aren't around when we did this last year. And VR arcades are difficult business, and we'll see how they pan out in the future. And we've also done a great annual event within AltSpace annually where we've had 1,400 attendees over a 24-hour period. So, a large number of participants throughout the years, a lot of attendees last year in between Madrid, Malaga, and Copenhagen. And we need your help. We need more participation for the European Union as well as elsewhere in the world. But it's a volunteer event, but I think it's something we can build a global interest around and do annually everywhere, just like Free Comic Book Day and Free Record Store Day. Well, Record Store Day. It's not, you don't get a free record on Record Store Day. You go to the website and submit the form if you're interested in learning more. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up. We've got a few minutes for Q&A, and then we will get started with the first presentation for this afternoon.
Thank you, Bob. That was great. Bob was having a little bit of trouble connecting. We are a little bit long on time, so we won't have time for questions. He does ask that you reach out to him at bob@ivrha.org with any questions that you have. For now, we're going to take a short break here at the live stream 3 at the Healthcare and Wellness channel. We encourage you all to tune into live stream 1 for the presentation of this year's Augie Awards. And we will return on this track at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Look forward to having you join us back.